Today on Locked On Red Wings, Detroit beats the Calgary Flames 2-1 thanks to Filip Zadina scoring the game winner in his first game back from injury.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. I'm a podcast producer for the Daily J, a WWJ News Radio podcast. Well, Scotty's host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of the Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started today. Scotty, after what was a frustrating win against the frustrating loss, rather, against the Edmonton Oilers, I would love to rewrite history, but I am not capable of that because the Red Wings played so good, yet couldn't come on top. The Red Wings do win this one, despite the fact they got heavily outshot, because that's just how hockey kind of goes. But I will say, I think this may have been one of their best defensive performances of the season thus far. What do you think?
Yeah, this was a trippy game, man. Like, can we just have a normal win? Like, seriously, is it possible?
Absolutely not.
Can this team just have a normal? We come on here and we're like, you know what? Yeah, it was a solid win, man. Like, you know, they played better than them, had a couple of lapses, whatever, as hockey goes. But for the most part, it was pretty solid. Not too much to talk about. Like, are we ever gonna get just a easygoing victory? I don't think so. This was a I want to call it a preposterous game, and like not in a negative connotation necessarily. Like I really did think that the Wings played really well, but yeah, I would say that this was it was the exact opposite of the problem we have had with the Wings all year, and that's what makes it weird. Defensively, right? What do we say after every game? Oh, they don't allow too many shots, but they allow a lot of high danger shots. This game, they got outshot by a Billy, but there's not a single area really that was a consistent high danger. There was nowhere that like the goal was right in front of the net, but like besides that was a one-off thing. Like it wasn't like they were consistently just kind of skating into the slot like we're used to. Like this was actually a pretty good performance in terms of avoiding high danger, but they allowed a lot of shots tonight. It's just this team is unbelievable.
It was definitely one of those choose your fighter nights where neither choice is ideal. But I honestly, I think I mean, you know, grass is always greener on the other side. I'm, of course, going to say I think I prefer this type of game where the quantity of shots, they got shot 36-17 in this game. In a game where the Red Wings had 5 power plays, and they still only registered 17 shots on net. Like, that's crazy. But the quality of the shots the Calgary Flames had in this game wasn't that great. And I said it during the now. So if you watch Locked On Sports Today, you'll hear us talk about it. But the Red Wings only gave up in those 36 shots against 2 high danger shots, one of which was a goal. I mean, that is probably the fewest high danger shots they'd allowed all year. The rest of those shots came from outside, like they came from outside that area. And let me fix my language there real quick. Only 2 high danger shots at even strength. So if you make it all strengths, including the power play, then they allowed 4. But that's still, I mean, considering they had, I think, 4 power plays themselves, the Flames, that's not a lot of high danger opportunities for a team that gives up a lot. And I'm going to throw up the heat map here and give you a visual of what this heat map looked like. And it's exactly what you think based on what we're talking about, Scotty. Throw it up real quick here. It's a lot of shots from everywhere, but nowhere in particular is it like a lot. It's the lightest shade of green everywhere in the zone, but nowhere Is it dark? And I don't
Right, and
know,
that
Scotty.
if there was blue, that would be over 4.5 attempts. So, like,
Yeah.
everywhere on they didn't reach that anywhere. Like, it was very, very much spread out a lot more and, like, making them uncomfortable and putting them in, pushing them to the outside, especially what is that? Left, right, left. The left circle, like, a lot of pushing out to the left circle. I mean, like a solid defensive performance, just like not what we're used to at all in terms of volume versus like quality.
Yeah, this
And
was a
then look at the
quantity.
offensive map. What is that, dude?
I
That's
mean,
not a winning heat map.
it isn't, but also you got to look at too. The Red Wings do actually have a pretty dark spot right out in
Yeah.
front.
Oh
And
yeah.
in the first period, again, the first period it was their best offensive period, and they didn't even score a single goal in that period.
Right.
But
Agreed.
they had a lot of good opportunities. That Raymond opportunity right out in front of the net. They had that double minor power play where they had a crap ton of great opportunities they couldn't
That
finish
was a
on.
nice save. I heard that.
So they it was a quantity versus quality type of game where the Flames took a lot of shots, didn't have a lot of high quality opportunities. Where the Red Wings had not too many shots, but plenty of high danger opportunities. I mean, was it Perron got robbed on that power play by the paddle
Yeah.
save? Raymond got tripped up going through the crease.
Yep.
It's
It's
just
just it's the
there's
exact
so
opposite of
much.
what we're used to, which is
Yeah.
just what makes it weird. Like, we're used to out shooting opponents and losing. Like, that's like our thing, right? Like, we do that consistently. We outshoot our opponents by 5 or 10 and lose. Like that, we've been doing that all year. And now this game we do the exact opposite and we get
Well,
outshot by a boatload, but we're on the winning side of this one. It's just this team never fails to amaze me and always keeps you on your toes.
and part of that can be almost predictable as well, because we talked about it yesterday. The Calgary Flames have the second best Corsi for percentage in the league, which means they have the second highest ratio of shot attempts. They give up the most and give up the least. Second most in the league, second best in the league when it
There you
comes
go.
to that ratio. And it showed in this game. They only gave up 17 shots, but had 36, but they did not score outside of that one goal, which is ironic because it was almost done with the second period, like 4 minutes left. And the buddy I was with at the time, because I was lucky enough to go to the game, he goes, doesn't this feel like one of those games where whoever scores the first goal is going to have the backbreaker? And less than 10 seconds later, that slap shot from the point goes top shelf. And he's like, I feel partly responsible for that. But you know what? Defensively, and the analytics aren't gonna agree with this. I mean, it says this person had a 21 Corsi for percentage and a negative 15.63 Corsi for percentage. But this is one of those games that proves that the advanced analytics doesn't always match the eye test. I thought Ben Chiarot had probably his best game of the season, and none of the advanced analytics agree with that. His expected goals for is 24%. He was a negative 32% relative. Yet I felt like every single time he was out there, he was blocking a shot. He was breaking up passes, things like that. I felt he was doing a great job of preventing opportunities in the defensive zone.
Yeah, I thought he looked solid. I don't know. I think there was. I'm trying to remember who the opponent was. There was one game.
Calgary.
Was there? Oh, were you talking about tonight? You're so funny, dude.
No,
I
thank you.
want to say it was like a month or a month and a half ago. We came on here and talked about a game, and I thought that was Sherrod's best game of the season. But I
My
regardless,
memory is very short, so I don't know.
yeah, I do agree with you though in the sense that I thought, and like we talk about like what those analytics mean all the time, and that it's very possible to look solid and not have very good numbers in those regard, as well as the other way around. But I thought he was solid, and like that was a weird situation where he started off like down low, and then Wallman got hurt early on, so he kind of had to step up and like play with Sider, and there was like mid game kind of carousel moving around pairings and such, and I thought everybody to everybody's credit, they continued to adjust really well with kind of the carousel that was going on in the first 20-30 minutes of the game, and still put together a pretty decent defensive performance. So
No, you are spot on, and he definitely had a extra burden with Wallman going down. And first of all, side note, thank God he came back.
yeah,
I
For
was
real. I was pretty
terrified
scared, yeah.
because he didn't get up and they had to blow the call dead and he like limped off the ice. And the next period he was back out there and it's like this MF or just had the wind knocked out of him or some crap and just
Yeah.
was like milking it. But thank God he's healthy. I mean, Chiarot stepped up big in this game, I thought. And I thought defensively as a whole, this was the defense's best game because, and then which is really funny saying that in a game where they gave up 36 shots against. But again, quality is a thing. And I think they did defense did a fantastic job of keeping the high danger opportunities outside of the slot, outside of the crease, which has been a problem they've had all year long. Those shots kept coming from the outside and the point where the danger is low. The shot attempt percentage is low. Like that. I thought they did a very nice job defensively in this game, which is something we haven't been able to say all year long.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know about best performance of the year. Like we've had they've
Again,
had
my memory is very short. Like
they've gotten it they pulled it together for a few games here and there. It's the unpredictability of this team. But I definitely think for having an effective defensive game going completely off script and out of character of what you usually do defensively, I think is a good sign. Again, like 36 shots is 36 shots, whatever. But I agree with the fact that having an executing an effective game plan defensively that has been the complete opposite of your game plan for the last 4 months is definitely an impressive thing to do.
Absolutely. And when we come back, we'll continue this conversation on the game recap 2-1 win over the Calgary Flames. We got to talk about the goal scores. We got to talk about Husso. And I want to give a quick shout out to the special teams, which I thought was fantastic in this game outside of one power play. But outside of that, I thought it looked good. But first, I got to talk to you guys today about FanDuel. This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We're really excited about this new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sports book in America. FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet on Super Bowl 57 with a no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/LockedOn to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty and I are talking about this 2-1 win over the Calgary Flames, in which the Red Wings did just enough to secure the win. It's just really funny. We draw these parallels to the game against the Edmonton Oilers, and because they kind of worked out differently in a game where it felt like the Red Wings had a lot of opportunities and couldn't finish. This game, they didn't have a lot of opportunities, but they finished on the ones that mattered. I mean, obviously there were ones they didn't finish on as well, because again, we go back to the Raymond cutting out in front, the power plays, but that Dylan Larkin goal, you go down by 1 with just 2 minutes,
Dude,
3 minutes left in the second period.
So dirty.
You go onto your 4th power play, and Kenny leans over to me. He goes, they have to score on this one. Like, this is going to make or break the game. And that feed from Perron to Larkin in all alone, and then that just top shelf snipe, that was good for 3 reasons. I mean, 1, Dylan's trying to secure the bag. That's reason 1. 2, it tied the game in a crucial moment with 12 seconds left in the second period. And also, it was a power play goal, which to that point, even though their power play had looked good with the exception of 1 power play up until that point, it had yet to convert. So that conversion goes a long way to kind of boosting the morale. So that goal had so many layers to it as to why it was such an important moment.
I yelled when that happened. That was such a beautiful play, a beautiful shot, just beautiful execution all around. The pass was incredible. Like, they showed the slow-mo of the pass and just avoiding sticks all over, and then the puck just gliding and landing right on Larkin's stick somehow. It really was a beautiful play, perfectly executed all around. And yeah, definitely happy for Dylan. And Man, I literally watched it like 15 times. That was I think one of the prettiest like setups and goals like execution wise of the season
So
probably.
what was the bigger stand up and scream moment? Larkin's goal or Filip Zadina's goal? Because that was a
Zadina's
pretty
no,
play
so
too.
Zadina's didn't make me stand up and yell. Zadina's made me literally laugh. Like and not like in an insulting way, just in like a of course. Like that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like genuinely, that's funnier than any stand-up comedy act you'll ever see. Like that's genuinely hilarious. Filip Zadina comes back and immediately scores a goal. That's peak humor.
So you got to take this part, next thing I'm going to say, with like a grain of salt. Because their line, the fourth line of Zadina, Sundqvist, and Suter, were the only three players on the team that had less than 10 minutes of ice time. But there are also three of the only four players in this game. And man, that fourth player is, they're three of the only four players in this game that had an above 50 Corsi for percentage. And that was Zadina, who was number one, followed by Sundqvist and Suter. So Zadina had your best Corsi for percentage in this game and your best expected goals for percentage in this game of 0.67 and expected goals against of 0.06 in this game. Now, again, that ratio sounds nice, but you got to remember they played less than 10 minutes. So it was not a lot of shots for or shot attempts against in those 10 minutes. Whereas guys like Filip Hronek, who had a 21%, saw 7 shot attempts for and 26 shot attempts against. For Filip Zadina, who's all the way at the top, it was 8 for and 6 against. So a lot smaller sample size to get that friendly ratio. But their fourth line, when paired against the Calgary Flames fourth line, was the better fourth line. And that game-winning goal was a beautiful setup by Zadina and Sundqvist and Robert Haig, who was your fourth of four guys who had above 50 Corsi for percentage. So two guys who have been healthy scratches in the most recent nights were two of the guys that were at the top of your analytics in this game. So tell me they had something to play for without telling me they had something to play for reading those analytics. But yeah, that Zadina goal, man, it felt very vindicating because I'm someone who, it's not like Rasmussen where I could see like he's getting better. Like I'm telling you, he's going to be good. With Zadina, it's been pure emotion for me. It's been like stubbornness to let go of the fact that I think he can do it. Like no real like analysis behind that besides I just don't want to give up. And so to see him get that goal in his first game back and for it to be a game-winning goal, I jumped out of my seat and I was screaming so loud. I was roaring up there in the up top of the LCA. I was having a good time.
Is that water in that cup? Yeah, no, it was
It's clear liquid.
like I said, I genuinely laughed. Like I thought it was like of course, hockey does as hockey does, as we say. So yeah, definitely a really funny moment. But
Yeah.
a very cool moment and important moment as well. And I'm hoping that Zeke can have a good second half of the season.
He got first star of the game too because of the game winner. And he just earned himself his second consecutive game
And
in a row off
honestly,
that goal.
everything that we talk about with Zadina, he did well in this game. Like,
Yeah, he did.
he put the puck in the back of the net, which is obviously always going to be like the clickbait, easy thing to talk about. But I mean, we've been talking about for a while how in the neutral zone and whatnot, like he has a pretty good defensive presence and whatnot. And this game was no different. Like he did that well too. It's just that whole play that was just kind of ping pong back and forth.
When Sundqvist went back to Zadina, I was like, why? Don't shoot. Because I was like, so many times we've seen these players try to do that one extra pass when they don't need to, but it worked out. And he buried
time
it.
it was. I mean, if he would have missed that, we would have had a serious problem because there was basically no goalie in net. That was the most wide open net I've ever seen in my life.
It was a great play.
Was.
Any way you slice it. Now we got to talk about Ville Husso, of course. He had a fantastic game. 35 of 36 shots, or would they finish with 35 of 36 saves in this game. Save percentage of like 9.7. Goals saved above expected was 1.5. So he saved a goal and a half more than he gave up, which is like an extra goal and a half, which he had a great game, which is a great bounce back game after back-to-back games, pre-All-Star break and Edmonton, where he didn't look so hot. So he had a fantastic game. I don't know how else to say it.
I completely agree, and I think that, man, like we've talked about it so much, right? Like we've talked about his impact on this team and how like this season would probably be looking even a lot different than it already is if it were not for Husso. And I appreciate him so much. And I when I go to bed and close my eyes, I dream about Ville Husso having a good defense. That's what I dream about. And I dream about like how good the heights that he could reach and how good he could be if he had a competent defense in front of him. And I think there are some outliers in this season, and this game was one of them where the defense was actually kind of all right. And so it was nice to see.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that at first, and I was like, is he going to tell me he's dreaming of Husso? Which I guess you kind of did say.
I kind of did say that, so
but the last thing in regards to this game I want to bring up, because we got to do a game preview in segment 3, is the penalty kill went 3 for 3. The penalty kill was very good in this game. There were a couple of moments where I was sweating a little bit, but they did the job and they accomplished it, which just adds on to the fact that the team defense in this game did a good job of preventing any high quality opportunities for the Flames.
We kind of been in the box a lot lately, eh?
Yeah, but the first, and this is part of the reason, like the first penalty that Ben Chiarot got called on, which was the tripping call when he dove on the 2-on-1. I take that penalty every single time.
Sure.
Because it was a 2-on-1 and he took the passing lane away and took the body out. That's a good penalty.
Sure.
The second penalty, his slashing penalty, was weak as hell. Like he whacked him in the stick. So yeah, like technically it was a slash, but they let that slash go 9 times out of 10.
Sure.
The first penalty, I don't even remember who it was against and what it was. I was there at the game. It was the juices were flowing. So I can't remember which goal that was, or penalty that was at the time.
Man, I can't remember either. That's a good look.
I mean, look, I'm looking right now. Phil Peronic holding. I remember that one. That was against the boards. That was a legitimate penalty. He had a hand on him. So
I just like it, you know, for every fault that the Wings have that we talk about all the time after every game, the one thing that they have consistently been very good at this season is staying out of the box. And I feel like in the last, like, I guess maybe it's just the last 2 games. Maybe it's just the
Edmonton game was crazy. That was chippy.
Yeah. Maybe it's just since the break they've been a little penalty happy. But
all right, we're gonna go to one more quick break, and when we come back, we'll preview the game against Vancouver. Western Canada came to us, and then the Red Wings are going to go to Western Canada. Stay tuned to Lockdown Red Wings. Segment 3, Lockdown Red Wings podcast. Let's do a game preview now, Scotty, of the game on Saturday at LCA to round out this homestand against the Vancouver Canucks. It's a noon game, 12 o'clock, matinee showing. And I love the fact that it's going to be a noon game. I'm going to get blitzed at home watching this hockey game because it's on a Saturday.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
All right.
I'm on a White Russian kick. I'm loving White Russians right now.
What is happening? Okay. I mean,
that's the game preview right now. I'm telling you.
It's a great preview. This is what people really care about.
This is going to be the I'm drunk and I love hockey Saturday of the year.
It's funny because, like, obviously that screenshot will go down in infamy and live on forever. But the underrated follow-up, like 3 months later, where I just have a text from Brian that says, "Uh-oh, I'm drinking again." Yeah, I mean, as far as Vancouver goes, this is a team that is honestly this season. They have some talent for sure, and this season they're well under, I guess I would say, 500 this year, and it's certainly not a playoff team or anything like that, but they still have some talent on this team, and I think that. I don't know. With this Wings team, like there are no gimme games. There are no games that you're just like, oh yeah, like we're the better team. This will be easy. like there's always some sort of conversation around it. And I also think that Vancouver kind of plays into our weaknesses a little bit. Like Vancouver is a really good offensive team and genuinely just gives up like 4 goals a night. And so like that, like they're I mean, for real, like they're one of the better offensive teams. They're in the top 10, top third in the league in goals scored, but they're in the bottom 2 in goals against. Like that's just what it is. So I guess I'll be taking the over, I guess is my my short answer here.
Yeah, so they're an interesting team because like literally all the things you just said. So they are one fewer in dynamic goal scorers, and in Bo Horvat, and I'd say dynamic goal scorers. He's having a career year. He's never had a
No,
year
for sure.
quite like
That's a
this.
huge, like obvious elephant in the room hit that we won't have to deal with when we play him that
Yeah,
they've had all year for sure.
because a guy who's had like a career high of like 50 points has 54 already and 30 goals this season. He's now on the New York Islanders,
Right.
which means we will have to face him more often, but we don't have to face him on
Right.
Saturday
On
or Monday.
Saturday at noon while Brian's
Down in White Russians and getting an upset stomach from all that heavy cream. But they still have Elias Pettersson, who's a fantastic talent. He's got 22 goals, 38 assists for 60 points in 49 games played. Quinn Hughes on the back end is a great defenseman. The Red Wings could have had him.
Quinn Hughes, man.
University of Michigan alum, 47 points in
Yep.
47 games, 42 assists. Dude is a playmaker. And then, of course, JT Miller is still playing really well despite all the criticism that he gets. He's got 46 points in 51 games played. Does not play defense, which is why he's a minus 14. But their big flaw, Scotty, is their
I'm
goaltending.
sorry, real quick. We're recording this obviously on Thursday night. Yeah. Vancouver played the Islanders tonight, and it was a 6-5 final. Vancouver won, so shout out for the little revenge game there, I guess.
I'm shocked the Islanders let up that many goals.
And yeah, agreed. And yeah, Hughes had like 2 or 3 points in that game, so he's probably got like 44, 45 if you're seeing 42.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just I didn't mean to cut you off. But
no, you're good. This is good context.
Thing that I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. I think they played tonight, and it was a very on brand Vancouver game. And I really don't expect ours to be too much different. But yeah, like they let up a lot of goals, and they literally have the worst penalty kill in the NHL. And those are the 2 biggest things that you can kind of point to.
Yeah, so it's gonna come down to can the Red Wings defense and yeah, right. They play into our weaknesses pretty hard, but it is their goaltending is awful. All 3 of their goalies have played significant amount of games. 28 games for Martin, 15 games for Demko, 13 games for Delia, and all 3 of them have sub 890 save percentages. Not even 900.
They're 32nd in the entire NHL in team save percentage on the year.
So it's going to be like this game against the Islanders. It's going to have to come down to a little bit of a shootout. If you can, and here's something too that I didn't bring up. The Red Wings, despite having lost the game against Edmonton, I thought their game plan the last 2 games has actually been very effective. You know, what made the difference against the Edmonton Oilers was not being able to capitalize on your big opportunities because they had some huge opportunities.
Right.
You shut down Draisaitl and McDavid very well, and you outplayed them, but you just couldn't bury the puck. Against Calgary, you took the second best team in the league at Corsi 4 and expected goals for percentage, and you kept their shot attempts low quality. Like your game plan was effective against those 2 teams, and the Vancouver Canucks are the worst of the 3. So, I mean, if you're going to ask me, it's too early because we're recording this on Thursday evening. We don't have the FanDuel odds up for this, but I imagine that this would be a game where the Red Wings are favored. And I would take the Red Wings because I think the Red Wings should win this game against the Vancouver Canucks, despite the fact that they play into our weaknesses, like you said. But you can't, even if the Red Wings defense is poor and their offense is potent, you can't cover up the fact that their goaltending and their defense is also very bad. And the second, would you say the worst penalty kill in the league?
Yeah, the worst penalty kill and the worst team per save percentage in the league. And they're 31st in goals against. Like everything that involves keeping the puck out of their own net, they are like in the worst in the NHL. But they're not like at the bottom of the league, you know, like Bernard sweepstakes, like, you know what I mean? Like prolifically losing team just because they're off. It's like the Big 12 in football. Like every game is just 65 to 58. And you're like, all right, yeah, that's the Big 12. Like that's just Vancouver. It's like, oh, there was 13 goals scored in this game. Oh yeah, it's just the Canucks. Like,
Well, and then the crazy thing is the Red Wings immediately go from playing Western Canada in Detroit to going out and playing Western Canada in their
Yeah,
home
all of
rinks.
next week is out west. They do
Yeah.
they do Edmonton, Vancouver,
Calgary
Seattle.
and Calgary too, I think.
Do they?
Yes. I
Okay.
think because they do
There you
3
go.
Canadian teams and then Seattle next Saturday.
Oh, okay. Okay. There you go then.
So
Yeah.
all
So
3 teams you just played, you're playing them again in next week. And it starts with Vancouver. So you're doing a home and home with Vancouver, which is
yeah,
wild.
home in 48 hours against Vancouver is wild. Yeah.
Yeah. So Scotty, you have any final thoughts on this game? Do you think Filip Zadina earns a second consecutive game?
I think he does.
I think you have to. After scoring the game-winning goal, you got to keep trying to build his confidence up.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to. I agree with that. How about what are you taking the over under if you even move it up to 7.5? Are you taking the over or the under?
Oh, so you would be looking at seven
Like
and
a
a half.
4-3 final is the under.
I think I'd take the under at 7.5. I think that's too rich for my
Are you
blood.
taking the over at 6.5?
I would, yeah.
Okay.
That one goal is making the difference for me.
For sure, for sure. I'm taking I feel really good about the over, which naturally means it'll be like a 1-0 game because
Yeah.
that's just like how hockey works, but
I think also Husso will probably get the start again. I think Magnus
yeah,
Hellberg
I
will
would imagine.
probably get starts on the road, but I think they want to capitalize on any momentum they have at
I
being
wouldn't be surprised
home.
if they split the week. Like if they just went like Saturday through Saturday, I guess, right? Like the entire Western road trip. It wouldn't surprise me if they because they're playing almost every other game there. I think they have 2 days off in the middle of the week at one point. So maybe 3-1. But yeah, I agree. I think Husso or Hellberg is gonna get a look
Yeah,
out
because
west for
you
sure.
got to give Hellberg a start at some point just to keep him fresh. So,
Yeah, and my point was just that like he's definitely going to get at least one, but it wouldn't even surprise me if, like I said, if they kind of did a 2-2 thing.
yep, agreed. All right, Scotty, any final thoughts?
We ball.
We do ball. We'll be back on Monday with a brand new episode. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Don't know who you guys are rooting to win. I think both teams are teams I want to lose.
Check out
So
FanDuel, dude. It's the most Super Bowl obviously like the most bet on sporting event of the year. FanDuel has like crazy like props and odds and everything. There's like a lot you could bet on and have fun with. So
absolutely. So have fun with that. Go Wings. Enjoy a beverage with me at noon on Saturday.
yeah, if anybody else is waking up at like 11 in the morning and is like, Irish coffee, just know Brian's joining you somewhere in Michigan.
I don't know what compelled me to like just be like, yeah,
I have
I'm
no
not
clue,
lying.
dude. That was the most out of pocket thing that's maybe ever happened. We were doing a game breakdown, a game preview, and Brian just goes, yeah, I'm going to be messed up. That's for this game.
Oh, man.
That was crazy.
That was the most stream of consciousness thing I think I've ever had. Where like what the first thing that popped in my brain, because I realized, oh, it's a noon game. I'm gonna get drunk. And I just said it out loud.
Insane commentary. Just ridiculous.
We have fun here.
We have fun here.
So same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.